Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of, hello. Welcome back to another episode. Yes, we do. Welcome back to Life After Kids with Doctors Brooke and Lynne. I'm Dr. Brooke.
I'm Dr. Lynne.
And we're so glad you're here with us today.
Hey, everyone. We're talking about a topic that gets more and more prevalent as we get older because we're having aging parents and people that, unfortunately, we're losing. And so the topic we're talking about is grief.
Yeah, and this is an important topic. The one thing we know for certain about life is that none of us are getting out of it alive. And
when you put it that way.
I don't mean to sound like a Debbie Downer, but it is a real thing.
Right. And
I think the older we get, the more we see the fragility of life.
Yeah, and I think it's the more reason, because we're in this stage and we're sensing that, you get a little bit of that urgency. Like, if you want to do something, now's the time. Like, don't wait. And especially with coming out of the pandemic and the last 3 years, it really reshifted things for us and seeing that, like, nothing's certain, nothing's guaranteed.
It sure did. And not to sound, once again, I don't want to be like a downer, like, oh my gosh, you better go because we're on the backswing of life. No, there's so much life to live, but it is important to do the thing. And I think especially when we're talking about, at least for me, like my parents or people that are older in my life, there's a really push to think for me, like, make sure you're spending the time. Like, tomorrow's never promised, whatever the age. Mm-hmm. But the older my parents get, the more I want to make sure they're with my boys. I want to make sure that you're having memories and making those moments.
Being intentional, right? So setting that in your calendar, writing it in your goals, writing it down as spending time with these people.
That's
and
right.
Making sure that it gets done. Because when it's written down, things have just a way of happening.
Absolutely.
More likely. But as far as grief goes, we've lost people that are close to us.
Yeah.
Many of you have as well. Mm-hmm. You've lost your mother-in-law, and I lost my father. What would you say for those people that are grieving right now, that maybe this is new for them and they're learning to get through that stage of, those stages of grief?
Yeah, for me, the biggest thing for me is my faith. Is just knowing, like, the realization and the surety that there is life after this for me is what gets me through. And my mother-in-law was like a mother to me. Our relationship, we had a really special relationship. So losing her was really hard, but knowing that she was sick, remembering not to make it about me and about her, that she is at peace. So thank God she's not suffering. That was initially the biggest surety for me. It was almost, in a weird way, relief. Yeah. I think you could probably speak to that too, just knowing that she wasn't suffering the way we watched her suffer. But once again, the faith and the surety that, I'll never forget at her funeral, my husband, God bless him, did the eulogy, and he was wonderful. He's an only child, and he just, it was tough. But then AJ, who at the time was, what was he, 7 or 8? He was little, and he asked to speak. And we were like, oh my gosh, be still my heart. First of all, we're going to get through without, like, losing it, and how's he going to do? But he got up at the church, and it was packed with people, and talked a little bit about his grandmother, but at the end said, we know it's not goodbye, it's see you later. Oh. And it actually, it chokes me up a little bit now, but when you have that perspective, even though you miss that person every day, and life is never the same. There's a void that's not filled.
Just left. It's torn apart.
Yeah, and we have pictures up of her, just like I like my sayings. We have, it's not like we have an altar or shrine or things everywhere, but we have things that remind us of her. Yeah. And so she's always there, like, it's on your mind. It never goes away. But knowing that it's a see you later is easier for me to take.
So that's great. First of all, I love the faith piece of that, and I would second that. But the thing that comes to mind for me is just knowing, I wish somebody had took me aside and said that grief is a process, right? And I think we know that on a level, but literally it would catch me in the first year of life where you would be fine, and then all of a sudden something would happen and you wouldn't be. And I think now I look back and I see it as a self-awareness, and I like, I just like to prepare. I wish I was prepared for it. Just know that, like, your knees will get buckled out at times, but that's important because then that's healing. You know, it's healing in layers. And I think also it can be painful to think about the people that you've lost, but and some of us would repress some of that or just bury it. But I think I think we keep our loved ones close to us by speaking about them, about remembering them, telling stories, laughing, you know, when you're ready to do that. Obviously, if it's really fresh, it's hard to laugh, but at some point you will get there, and then it just feels like they're so much closer to you when you speak about them, and it keeps their memory alive.
Absolutely. You know? Laughter is a big piece of, well, we are a snarky and laughing family anyway, so being able to laugh and remember memories that were fun and laughter is huge. I think one thing that you had shared with me, because you lost your father before we lost Karen, so you had already walked through that, to your point, and I think you had mentioned this to me, like it will hit you out of nowhere on days and at times that you're not sure why it hit, and it can take you to the floor, and there's nothing wrong with you. That's okay. That's just be prepared for it and accept it and ride that wave and feel your feelings. Yeah. And it's okay to do that. But the other thing that you mentioned to me that was helpful was every first is going to be really difficult. And my husband, who is a very strong, like stoic, like if I needed to grieve, I would typically go to you because it was his mom, and I didn't want to, you know, he needed to process it how he did, and it was for him, it was more about him than me. So I would talk to you, but I, like Mother's Day, the first Mother's Day, I was shocked at how emotional he was, and had you not prepped me for that. But I think the first of everything, the first birthday, the first holiday, the first fathers or mothers, you know. I think especially a mother, because we're bonded to our mothers in a way, but you know, our dads as well, they're our protectors, they're our guides, you know, through life. And then it feels like, you know, they're always out in front of you, and then when they're gone, you know, they're passed on, you're at the front. You know? So it's just getting used to that. I would also say we talk a lot about showing up for people, you know, because we're in places where we're looking for people to show up for us. So getting back to showing up for people. And if you've not lost a parent, it can be awkward. You are wondering what to say, how to comfort somebody. Just know that you can't comfort somebody. So there's no right words. There's no perfect words. Yeah, it's so true. But if you've lost a parent and you know, put something, let us know if you feel this is true. The only thing that feels good or comforting in the moment is just to know that you're not alone, right? That there are people there that support you. And so reach out, send flowers. There are people that, you know, knew my dad that we didn't feel very close to before, but they took that step and they showed us that he meant something to them. And so they'll forever be in my heart. And unfortunately, those are the times too when you take stock in people you were really close to or you thought you were close to that didn't take that step. Yeah. And it's damaging in a way. I mean, you give forgiveness and you move on, but always send flowers. Just if you can't afford to send flowers, send a card. If you can't do that, and always pick up the phone. You're more than likely going to leave a voicemail. Yeah. But that simple step is just, it meant everything to us, and I try to do that for people now in my life. That, I was hoping you were going to touch on this. If not, I was going to bring it up because when I went through that with Karen and what you did for me, just being there and the text or the call or the flowers was huge. And I knew you're my best friend, so you were going to do that anyway, but you displayed, like you not only did you show me that, but you spoke that to me, like, listen, you have to do these little things. And I think it came up again when a close friend of mine who you weren't super close with lost somebody. And I remember her call, I think it was somebody. And she called me and said, I can't believe it. Lynn sent me flowers. And I was like, wow. Like, and I called you and said, that was really nice of you. And you said, I know how it feels. And like, I will do that every time. And it is true. That simple, even if you don't know them well, it's just, there's nothing that can take that pain away. But when people show up for you in that way, it just somehow makes you feel a little bit comforted. Yeah. In that great loss that you're. It really is huge. Yeah. So if you know somebody, and you know, I try to make a point too, if somebody has lost a parent, like, if it's Father's Day or it's Mother's Day, to shoot them a text and just say, hey, I'm thinking about you today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because especially
That's
if
so
it's
nice.
fresh,
Yeah.
if it's new, because, you know, once again, we're all in this together and it's hard.
Yeah, but we can do hard things. So
We can.
if you're one of those people that shies away from that, or you're not comfortable, again, just shoot a, you know, I love the prayer, the hand emoji with this. I mean, there's just something, just stepping out, like, just send flowers, send a card, and just do the thing. Take the step.
Yeah, and if those are not your thing, I mean, just it's a text.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something anyone can do. To
Yeah.
just, you know, thinking about you today.
Yep, agree.
Yeah, you don't always have to have the right word. You just have to
Yeah.
let them know that you're thinking about them.
Yep.
And by the way, as we wrap this up, I learned this from you too, because you've had other losses that we don't need to get into here, but you're probably one of the strongest people that I know. And I think what I learned from you is you have a choice in how you handle everything in life, and how you handle the good things and how you handle the bad things. You get to choose every day that you wake up if you're going to continue to live your life and live it in a vibrant way, or you're going to choose to stay in the struggle and the sticky things. You get to choose whether you're going to take that loss or that struggle and use it as a learning tool and something that can grow you, or whether you're going to stay there stagnant and grieving. And not that you don't continue to grieve, but you know what I'm saying here. It's
100%.
a daily choice of how you're going to approach it and what you're going to do with it.
And it's not always easy.
Yeah.
But it's a habit. So, like, you can approach it like, you know, you can either think you're in control, or you can either think you're not, and that life is just happening to you. I choose to get up in the morning and believe that I am in control. If I'm not in control of everything else, I'm at least in control of how I think and what I say. And, you know, so you have a choice, and it's a habit though. So I had to learn that. I mean, it took a while, but I because I learned it, I know that anybody can adopt that, and you can just wake up, and that's where gratitude comes in, and that's something that you're so diligent about and so great. So yeah, and just being grateful for the people that we are grieving, just being grateful and spending time just feeling that gratitude about the time that we had with them.
Yeah.
And the memories that we have.
Absolutely. So good.
It's a good conversation.
And closing out, you know, the words that resonate for me that were a game changer was Tony Robbins, who says life is happening for you, not to you. And when you can flip that script and realize that, it changes the perspective on everything that happens in your life.
And it just starts with what you tell yourself up here.
Yeah.
That's how you turn it around. You can't see it right now possibly, but the tips and the things that we talk about to help you get from that mindset to that new way of thinking is pivotal. And those are the things we talk about in our webinar every week.
I agree. So guys, thanks for joining us for this conversation. We're always happy to have you here with us. Make sure you're following us on all the socials. Website is www.lifeafterkids.com. Thanks for joining us.
You're amazing.